Alright, so here's a quick battle I had with the fairy leaders for a second time. As usual, she brings 6, pick 4, but it's singles, so obviously, or excuse me, no, it's not bring 6, pick 4, it's just a 4v4. Obviously, that means that the playstyle leads very well to hyper offense, which I sort of figured out the second time around in this fight. But of course, I don't really have any of those teams, and she picked my electric team, so I was sort of just making do with whatever I could to deal with the Alolan Ninetales that's obviously going to come set up the Aurora Veil here. Obviously, it's not going to be very easy for me to do much, since I don't have a way to just shut down hyper offense on this team, but I can try to sort of combat it on my own. But as a result, Aurora Veil is going to come up, and my Golem is just going to set up Stealth Rocks, because obviously that's what you do with Golem on electric. And at this point I'm sort of thinking, okay, what can I do to this Alolan Ninetales to stall out some turns of Hail, so I'll stall out some turns of Veil. And at this point it's sort of just like, stay in, do damage, and hope for the best. But unfortunately, the Moonblast from Ninetales is going to come and be really good. Unfortunately for me, the Stone Edge doesn't quite get the knockout thanks to the Veil, and this Ninetales is going to knock out my Golem just like that. Golem probably wasn't going to do any work in the fight anyway, but when it's a 4v4 singles match, any damage is good damage. So I just go right into my Rotom Wash here. I'm not really sure why, other than probably to click Hydro Pump, but of course the Ninetales has Freeze Dry, like a dumbass I am. I decide to stay in and do that, but of course I'm going to go for Volt Switch here, which doesn't actually knock out the Ninetales, and at this point I'm like, alright, well, I just lose now. Yeah, so this fight is not a good one for me. And as you'll see here, despite the Electric Surge giving me boost, I'm basically trying to stall out Hail turns and Veil turns as long as I possibly can. So I go for the U-turn here, just back into my Rotom Wash, I believe into the Rotom Wash, it's either that or Raichu, one of those. Basically, I'm just trying to do whatever I can. So I go into my Raichu here, knowing full well that this the Hail's gone, but the Veil's still there, and out comes the Gardevoir here. And at this point I'm thinking, okay, I can still do some work here. I can still make it happen if it needs. But of course, Surge Surfer, it traces my Surge Surfer, which is scary. And I go for Thunderbolt since I still technically am faster, but it's going to just keep that ability and not actually Mega and go for the Shadow Ball. I get why they didn't Mega there, to sort of just keep the Surge Surfer out to outspeed Tapu Koko when it's coming in. But, you know, I misplayed this. I really couldn't do much to that. I probably should have sent in Rotom Wash instead. But out comes the Moonblast from the Gardevoir. I was expecting it to Mega the whole time, and, you know, it never really did. So I'm just going to U-turn it here again, basically just guaranteeing that I'm not going to have any chance of winning this fight. So, foregone conclusion, I send in my Rotom. There's really not much left. I basically have to either wait till Electric Terrain runs out or the Veil runs off, but either way, this Gardevoir is just going to basically beat me here. And I do have my Iapap Berry on the Rotom. Somehow Rotom does live, and I can go for a Pain Split. Wasn't really thinking there, because it heals the Gardevoir. I mean, here we are. And yeah, basically now the electricity's gone, and I have to hope that I can knock this thing out. But of course, I'm not going to be able to, because Rotom does not have the greatest special defense, or this one doesn't either anyway. So naturally, I'm going to give it the ability to outspeed my Koko, and that's really going to be it. I mean, there's not much else you really need to talk about with this fight. Yeah. Shadow Ball is going to come and knock out my Koko, and that's going to be it. And I lose again. This is actually the one badge I came out of PAX South without getting. So yeah, I wasn't able to fight this leader any other times. They're really good. They're very consistent fights, and they definitely know how to use the 4v4 singles battle method. Good game. Alright, so for this next fight, we have against the Pinkerton, Patrick Pinkerton, the pink gym leader. And you might see Ampharos, not pink. Wrong, it's got a shiny, so it's all good. Obviously, I brought my dark team because he picked the dark team, even though I'm up against a fairy team, more or less. So this will be, again, a very... Actually, it's not really a fairy team. There are only 2 fairy types on the team. But anyway, I lead with my Crook, because Crocodile is a pretty nice lead for this team. He's going to lead with Aromatisse. Aromatisse, pretty bulky, all things considered. I'm running Intimidate on this crook. Excuse me. And right out of the gate, I'm just going to set up my Stealth Rock on here. I was kind of worried that Espeon might come out on the expected Stealth Rock, but whatever, he just goes right for Trick Room. So I'm thinking, okay, this team is very fast and very frail, so Trick Room is going to be a pain for me if I let it be abused. So I'm just going to stay in with Crocodile and take some hits, and I'm just going to go right for an Earthquake here. I really don't fear this Aromatisse that much. And basically I know that I can 2H KO with Earthquake, but based on that, but then it turns out it's a critical hit. And this Aromatisse is holding up its red card, so I do go into my Hydreigon here, probably the Pokemon I want to see least come out from that, but it is what it is. So I switch up my Hydreigon and go back into my Crocodile to stall out some turns of Trick Room. And I know for a fact that I will definitely not live another Dazzling Gleam, but that's okay because Crocodile, I mean, it's kind of useful in this fight, but it's not terribly useful. I will say that I probably could have kept it alive, but whatever. So I just go right into my Bisharp, because Bisharp threatened this thing immensely, and it's he's gonna withdraw and go into Patricia, which is his Miltank. And at this point I'm thinking, okay, I'm not terribly concerned. I was gonna go right for an Iron Head, just to deal a lot of damage to the Aromatisse. And Iron Head does, you know, about a third of damage to the Miltank, which is fine. So I switch out that and just go right into Hydreigon here, because I know Miltank can't take a Draco Meteor from this, and it's going to go right for the Curse. I assume that's just sort of build up its, just to sort of start basically doing stuff. In Trick Room, that's even more scary, but unfortunately Trick Room runs out here, so I can just go right for a Draco Meteor, and basically wait for the falling rocks from the sky to basically do damage for me. And that is going to knock out his Miltank, which is very nice for me, because Miltank is a Pokemon, and now it's the first one gone. So in comes the Percival, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, I can switch out here, or I could go for another Draco Meteor just to, like, stack this Hydreigon, because this Hydreigon's not going to be doing much in the fight. So I just go for another Draco. I mean, might as well, right? It still does a good chunk of damage, and Espeon's actually going to be switched out with the eject button. Not really sure why, but I guess it is what it is. In comes Sylveon here, and at this point I kind of either have to switch out or just sack the Hydreigon, and I just decide that it's easier to sack it than it is to switch out and have something else take a Hyper Voice. I was assuming that this is probably Specs, just looking at his team. And the Hydreigon does go down, and just based on like how fast the damage went down, I kind of have to assume it was. So I go into Bisharp here. I can threaten with Iron Head, but I actually go for a Swords Dance, predicting his switch, which actually doesn't happen. Which is not the worst thing in the world, since like Hyper Voice isn't going to knock me out, since I do technically resist it since I'm Steel as well. So I am at +2, and I can go right for the Iron Head, knowing that I outspeed the Sylveon, and that is going to knock out the Pascal, which is really good for me. Now I'm sitting at a +2 Bisharp, and in comes an Espeon here. At this point I'm like, alright, well I can just knock off, or Sucker Punch, but I sort of was expecting a Dazzling Gleam, but he goes for the Reflect, and I was like, huh, you don't see very many lights, or it wasn't even light clay too. I was expecting I was fully expecting like some light clay shenanigans, or like some, if with these screens, or doing some sort of offensive stuff with the eject button, but no, that doesn't happen at all. And out goes Sylveon, and in comes the Aromatisse again, but at +2 after rocks, I'm definitely going to be able to knock this thing out with an Iron Head. And I know he was trying to get up Trick Room again so that he could send in like either Ampharos or Blissey, but in the end, Aromatisse is just going to go down. At this point, I kind of have this game under control with this Bisharp. Ampharos is out, and it is actually a Mega Ampharos too, which I forget sometimes exists, despite the fact that I really, really like Mega Ampharos. I think it's one of my favorite Pokemon type-wise. I wish it were better, but it is what it is. Anyway, so Mega Ampharos comes out, and at this point, I'm just going to basically go for a Sucker Punch here, since I know it's going to do a lot just in general, but it doesn't do nearly as much as I thought because of Reflect, and Focus Blast comes out, and it is going to knock out my Bisharp. So Bisharp does in fact go down, unfortunately for me, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, how do I go about winning this? So I send in my Sharpedo just to try to put in some work here, and I just go for a Protect to get that speed boost off. I don't really need it, because Ampharos is slow, but I wanted it just in case, and I'm sort of burning turns for screens to wear off. So I go for the Protect there, get the speed boost, and then now I Mega into my Mega Sharpedo, which is a very strange looking Pokemon to be sure. And I'm just going to go right for an Ice Fang onto this Ampharos, which is going to do a lot to it, but it doesn't actually knock it out, which I was kind of surprised about. And it sort of made me like think, oh crap, okay, now what? Because now I'm down to 2 as well, and Light Screen is going to wear off this turn, as you see there, and basically I have a Greninja. So, I mean, let's be real here. Greninja is better than you, and I have Protean too, so I'm just going to go right for the Ice Beam onto this Mega Ampharos here and knock it out, which is really, really good for me. However, I'm in the unfortunate situation where Blissey is the final Pokemon out on the field, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll just get as much chip damage as I can, or excuse me, I lied. I'm just going to switch out into my Tar, just because, you know, Tyranitar is a physical attacker, and it can actually do something to Blissey, so I'm just going to do that. And he goes for a Flamethrower here, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, I can definitely deal with this just fine. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Mega here, because I should, no, excuse me, not Mega, just go for a Stone Edge, get as much damage off as possible, and I almost do that, but then out comes the counter on the Blissey, and I'm thinking, oh crap. But then I realize also that there's still sand up, so Blissey is going to go down to the Sandstorm. So that is going to be it. I do end up being the pink gym leader, and with my dark team against the odds, and I do get just another badge. I was sort of going for 100% badges after beating the champ, and yeah, so good game. Alright, so now I've got to fight with the Steel Leader. There's someone from Borderlands, I think, but I can't really remember. They chose my Bug team, which is fun, because I didn't actually get to use this team normally. So I'm glad that I get to use it against the Steel Leader against all odds. Now, I will say that I was very much, the con was sort of wrapping up here, so we weren't really taking the fights too seriously, especially because I had already beaten the league by that point. Anyway, she's going to lead up with the Skarmory. I'm going to lead with my Galvantula to set up some webs, do some damage. Skarmory is sort of the expected lead, so I wasn't terribly worried. And Sticky Web is going to go out just to slow down everything, which is going to be pretty nice. Stealth Rock is going to come out too, just because Rocks against a Bug team is a very good strategy, obviously. So I just go right for a Thunder here with Compound Eyes, which is really, really good. Obviously, it's going to do quite a bit to the Skarmory, but since Skarmory does have Sturdy, it's not going to get the full knockout, but it does get the Paralysis, which is, you know, something I wasn't expecting, and it just goes right for the Steel Wing. I'm not really sure why Steel Wing was the move of choice there, but you know what? It is what it is, because now Skarmory is in a place where I can knock it out if I need to, and I just go for the Hidden Power Ice, just for the safety sake, I guess, and down goes the Skarmory, so right out of the gate, that's a really good thing for me. So now out comes the Excadrill, and at this point I'm thinking, oh crap, this Excadrill could be a problem. It might go for Rapid Spin, it might do whatever, but I'm not terribly worried. I just stay in and just go for an Energy Ball since I know I outspeed, and I know I can do quite a bit to this. It doesn't do nearly as much as I hoped though, so I do end up losing this Galvantula to a Rock Slide. But yeah, this Excadrill is probably the thing I was most scared about on the team, just because I knew that Rock is not very good to face off against. So I go into my Heracross here, and I'm thinking, alright, I can just do this. This is Scarf Heracross, I'm going to knock this thing out with a close combat, and bam, down goes that Excadrill. Bam! Look at that. Bam. So good. So Excadrill is down for the count, and I get the Moxie boost on Heracross. Plus, there's the fact that, you know, close combat against the Steel team, it's pretty good. But it's not exactly a Steel team since Gastrodon exists. But I really like Gastrodon as a Pokemon. It's one of the really underrated Mons, and it lives this close combat only barely, so I'm not able to sweep through this team with close combats as I'd hoped, or as I'd thought, but sure enough, in comes the Toxic here, which is actually going to eventually wear me down. but I'm at that point where I'm Scarf Heracross at a +1, so I technically will still be able to do a ton of damage to this whole team just by clicking Coast Combat. And critical hit totally mattered. I'm at -2 though, so any priority that she has against me is just going to do a load. And I'm not talking like, oh, you know, it might take me down to 50%. I'm talking like it'll probably knock me out with poison. So in comes the Spider Ant, which is the Garchomp. So naturally this Garchomp caught in a sticky web. Very, very tricky for me. But luckily I should still outspeed, and I just go for a close combat again. At +2, and that Garchomp is going to go down. So something, again, I thought might be a bit of a problem isn't exactly a problem, but it does have rough skin, and it does have Rocky Helmet, and I do have the Toxic, so that is going to definitely wear down my Heracross a lot. That being said, I still do have the momentum in the game, by far, and I'm not worried at all about the team right now. So in comes the Scizor, which is going to be Mega. It's not... I kind of expected this to come out instead of Garchomp last turn, or I thought it was going to be Mega, but I guess it isn't. I go for a close combat here, and it is going to knock it out. I'm not sure why she didn't go for a Bullet Punch. Maybe she didn't have it. Either way, basically she's down to 1 Pokemon left, as I'm at a +3 on my Moxie. But unfortunately, Poison is going to knock it, or just barely... It's not going to knock me out, thank goodness. So in comes Lucario, and I'm very, very sure that Lucario has a priority move, or I was very sure about it, and sure enough, it does not actually, and I guess she was sort of like, alright, I'll just let this Heracross sweep me. So that is going to be that. I am going to get the win with the Heracross, which is really nice. Really quick, easy fight, and just another badge that I was able to sort of wrap up. The person, Ardritha, she's been a leader for a very long time at PAX South. Really good player, really good battler. Good game. Good game. First things first, I apologize for any nicknames that might be considered a bit vulgar in this one. I was using Showdertmons against my friend Christian. He's the ground leader here. Frying Pan. Really, really good guy. Really cool guy. I told him that when I was coming, I would definitely make sure that I challenged him with just Showdermons in general. If you don't know what Showderp is, just look it up. It's pretty fun to do, watch, etc. So he's going to lead with his Quagsire here. You know, a solid lead. I'm going to lead with my 1 Pump Jump. Now, this is Goliath Spot. It only knows 1 move, and it's First Impression. And that's going to be about it. And, yeah. So, there's not much to really say about this fight. You know, it's just a bunch of shit posting in Pokemon battle form. No shame in that. So I'm going to switch out I'm just going to go for the Savage Spin Out, because that's the other move it knows. On First Impression, mind you. Let's see how much it does. Let's see. We got that Savage Spin Out coming at you live from my apartment. Let's see. And it's just going to slam that Quagsire. This animation is so long. What the hell? And, nope. Quagsire is just going to stockpile. And at this point, I'm out of moves. First Impression, if... yeah! We had fun during this fight, to put it simply. So I'm going to switch up my 1 Pump Jump, and I'm going to go into my Blood Cotton. And it's a Jumpluff. Jumpluff, the OG, the realest frickin' Pokemon on this team. I mean, look at it. It's got 3 cotton balls and a blue body. How can you not love Jumpluff? Jumpluff, top tier Pokemon right here. So I'm going to go for a Sleep Powder. It's going to connect like a pro, because Jumpluff, just so good. Dude, I actually used Jumpluff in my first playthrough of Soul Silver. Fucking OG, excuse me, that's a bad word. Yeah. So at this point, Jumpluff is just sort of sitting there, so it's gonna go for a Seed Bomb, like a pro, and do a good amount to Quagsire, but you know, not really a ton. Quagsire is gonna wake up, and it's gonna go for a Power Up Punch. You know, not gonna do anything though, because Quagsire sucks offensively. So I'm just gonna sort of sit here enjoying myself. And I'm actually going to go for a Swords Dance here. No, I'm just going to go for Seed Bomb again. Just do as much damage as I can. I really realize that this Quagsire is just going to basically wall me if I can't do much to it. But he goes for a Power Punch here. Probably a mistake on his part. We weren't taking the fight seriously, like, at all. We were playing, like, Click Clack Timber or whatever that game is, you know, where you have the axe and you're trying to knock down the tree without knocking down the tree during the whole fight, so whatever. I go for another Seed Bomb, and down goes this Quagsire. So, that's how this thing goes. It's pretty good. In comes the Nidoking, and at this point I'm thinking, alright, Nidoking, pretty spooky Pokemon. I'm like, oh no. So I just go right for a Sleep Powder here. Connects as usual, like the boss that Jumpluff is. And naturally, since Nidoking is fast asleep, and I don't give a crap about the poison here, I'm just gonna go for a Swords Dance. Oh, look at that! Look at that go! So strong, so good. Look at that powerful Pokemon right here. Powerful. Oh yeah. So I go for Seed Bomb here because Seed Bomb is good. Seed Bomb is strong. And Nidoking is not going to be able to wake up, so really, I actually basically neutralized this Nidoking threat right out of the gate, which is really, really good. I got super lucky and bad. That's how you play Pokemon. You just got to be lucky and bad to overall take the wins here in this game. So in comes the Hippo. Hippo's pretty spooky. I'm not gonna lie, I'm fully expecting to go for a Whirlwind here or something along those lines. Sandstorm's gonna come in, and at this point I'm like, alright, whatever. I'm just gonna click Seed Bomb, because this thing can't hurt me. I'm just that good. But of course it does about half to Hippo, and Hippo gets a Brox here, which is like fine, I guess. I'm just gonna keep on clicking Seed Bomb for the win, you know, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be really, really strong, really, really powerful, and Seed Bomb, it is getting a little boring, and at this point I'm like, I don't really want to sweep the team with Seed Bomb, because like, then I don't get to show off any other Mons in this game, but whatever, I'm winning with my magical Jumpluff. It's pretty good. In comes the Dugtrio. I would be more worried about Arena Trap, but like at this point, I don't really care. He goes for Earthquake. That was a misclick on his part. I just go for an Acrobatics, because I'm actually not holding an item. So, yeah, that's the thing. And I just go right for, he goes for a Reversal here. And that's going to do a good chunk to me, but not enough to get the knockout. So I just go right for another Seed Bomb, dude. Hell yeah. It's great. It's good Pokemon. Jumpluff, the realest Pokemon left in the game. If you're not using Jumpluff on your competitive OU teams, I would highly recommend you do so. In comes Tyranitar here. I'm kind of thinking, okay, what's this thing gonna do to me? Because it's a Megatar, and at this point, it's like, okay, I can kind of assume that one of Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Stone Edge is gonna come out here. But you know what? I don't really care, because I'm just gonna go right for Acrobatics. Probably a misplay, but at this point I was like, whatever. And it's gonna go for Pursuit. Wasn't expecting that, but you know what? It's all good. It's all good, you know what I'm saying? And now out comes Space Jam. The Steelix the Space Jam. Can you guess what moves it might know? I'll give you a hint. It's a stab move, and it involves the Space Jam. Like all things, it is a good thing. So Space Jam evolves into Mega Steelix, and Tyranitar goes for an Earthquake here, but Space Jam the Steelix, doesn't give a crap. He's just gonna like tank it like a pro, and like, damn, so good. I'm just gonna go for a Rock Polish here, because, gotta get that speed boost and everything. So good, so strong. And now I just go for my Heavy Slam. Come on in, Slam, and welcome to the jam. Oh yeah, so that was a crit. Honestly, I kind of wish that I probably didn't go for the Rock Polish and I just gone for the Heavy Slam. But, it is what it is. I do lose my Space Jam, my Mega Steelix. So, unfortunately, we got that. So I'm going to send in my Bill the Growlithe. And, yeah. But, I go for the Hidden Power here, because I believe I'm running Hidden Power Fighting on this. Yeah. No, Hidden Power Grass. Which is strange, because, like, Bill doesn't normally run that Pokemon, or doesn't run that move. And in comes Common Bat, the Gliscor, and at this point it's like, oh crap, what do I do? Because I can go for a Flamethrower with Bill here, and, well, it's not going to do very much. And this bat just goes for a substitute here. And at this point, we're just going to play substitute games for 7 minutes. So, yeah, we really don't have to talk too much about this fight still. Because it's just going to be sub and garbage, and I don't really care. Yeah. So I'm just going to go for flamethrower with my Bill. It's pretty boring when you got to deal with that kind of thing, and you can't really do much. So I just keep on clicking flamethrower like a mouse, and out goes the sub. I probably shouldn't have sacked jump bluff when it really comes down to it. So this thing goes to the knockoff, but what? What is this? You thought it was Bill, but it was me, Dio. But see, now here's the problem. Like, this Zora can't really do much to the Gliscor either. I can go for a Dark Pulse, but, you know, can't do much, because Gliscor, yeah. And this Gliscor is just gonna exist. I mean, look at that. That did a lot, but, like, I'm definitely not gonna be able to outstall it, which is a pain. So it is kind of what it is here. Yeah. Anyway, it's one of those things where I'm just sort of doing attacks, and you are watching them. Isn't that just the dandiest thing you've ever seen on the planet? You know what, I'm so bored by this fight, I'm just gonna go text my GF, because she is whining about Messenger being a bad app. Seriously, Messenger is a crappy app for messaging, and you shouldn't ever use it. I'm also going to delete it. That's what I'm texting it right now. Because Facebook is stealing your information, and oh, I get the flinch. Hell yeah, that's really good. And I'm thinking, yeah, I can do this. But of course, with the protect and everything, that's not good. So I just go for the Dark Pulse, but he's going to protect, and it's going to be bad. Because basically, the Toxic is going to knock out my Zoroark at this point in the next turn if he gets a double protect. So if he gets this double protect, basically I lose with that. But I switch out here because I wanted to get in my Specs Weedle. Probably shouldn't have switched. That was a bit of a mistake. No, it's never a mistake. You gotta show off this Specs Weedle. You really gotta show it off, because I mean, are you really playing Pokemon if you don't first show off your Specs Weedle? So, yep, that's letting the Gliscor just get back to full health. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I have no idea what we're going to talk on Messenger. I have no idea. Mackenzie, if you're watching this video, I apologize. But anyway, Specs Weedle. Can't really do much. I'm going to go for a String Shot, lower that speed. Look at that go. Because Specs Weedle, the greatest Pokemon in existence. You thought Jump Bluff was good? Nah, that's nothing on Specs Weedle. So, now we're just sort of existing with our points. And I'm going to switch out Weedle here since, well, not much else we can do. And I send in my one pump jump again, my Go Lasso Pod, and I'm just sort of existing. There's not much that we can really do with this fight. So we just sort of show derping our way to a loss. First impressions coming out. I don't really know, because it's kind of difficult to deal with, but I guess it's not that bad. Yeah. So yeah, I can't really do much else. So I'm gonna switch back into my Weedle, because, you know, it is how I am anticipating I will go about winning this fight is with my Specs Weedle. But of course, there's the Stealth Rocks, so I wasn't really sure what I was thinking of either way. But see, now I go into my real Bill, but unfortunately Bill is, how you say, kind of not the greatest in this matchup, unfortunately. So, therefore, I'm in a bit of a problem, because I'm just gonna go for a Flare Blitz, because Bill, the Arcanine, the Growlithe, real OG, real good Pokemon, but can't really do much, and coming back, it's gonna go for the knockoff here. Now, I understand that there's a bit of a problem here with what I'm doing, and I understand that, like, I probably shouldn't have gotten rid of, I shouldn't have switched the Zoroark when I did. I probably shouldn't even sack the Jump Bluff, but you know what, it's whatever at this point. Because, you know, now this Gliscor is just gonna go for a Toxic on me, and I'm just sort of, existing. But I guess I really couldn't be too sure, because there's always a hope when you have Bill, the really good Growlithe, because it's got close combat and everything, but against a physically defensive Pokemon, I guess it wouldn't really do that much, would it? Anyway, so now I'm just gonna do this and deal with this Bill, because naturally there's not much else left to worry about except losing. If you've been watching this long, congratulations. You're just basically watching me waste time trying to effectively win a fight that's unwinnable. It's not really what I was hoping for, but so it stands that I am gonna go down here. So rest in peace, Bill. You will be missed another time. So I go back into my my Gliscod here, and that's basically going to go for a first impression. But no, the emergency exit switches out. So back into my Zoroark, which is going to die to Stealth Rocks, and that's basically going to be it for the Dio. You know what they said. It means that I've basically been vanquished, because now the Gliscod can't really switch in any other times, which means I can only go for first impression once, and then I'm done for. So, this Gliscor effectively managed to beat my entire team. Talk about embarrassing, am I right? Yeah, I don't really know what I was expecting here. But then again, I guess that's what happens when you use Pokemon that aren't really that good or conventional. You end up sort of looking like an idiot when you lose to one Pokemon who is like at 10 HP left. But that's the fight, and yeah, good fight. I got the badge from Christian either way, just because showed our Pokemons. I told him I would, and so here we are. So anyway, we only have one fight left, and then that is it for this series. Wow, talk about a fast. Alright folks, welcome to the last fight of this series. This is against Islabelle, or as we like to call her, the youngest PAX Pokemon League leader in the entire thing. She's, I think 8 years old, 9 years old? Either way, maybe 7 actually. Either way, she was using, she and her father were a Team Skull multi-battle, but unfortunately, or fortunately rather, I was able to get the fight 1v1 because, you know, it is a fight. She wanted to fight me and I wanted to fight her, and yeah. So naturally, I told her to pick the type to use, and since she was poison types, and primarily, she told me to use steel types, so I was like, okay, if that's what you want me to do. So I lead with my Skarmory, and she leads with her Garbodor, going for the Toxic Spikes. Not really the greatest move, because my team is entirely steel, so Toxic Spikes aren't going to really be a thing, but then it goes for the Spikes, realizing that, and I just go for a Whirlwind, because, like, I'm like, whatever, man. So out goes the Garbodor, in comes the Alolan Raticate, and I'm thinking basically at this point, alright, cool, Alolan Raticate can't really do much to me, or anything on my team, so I'm just going to switch out and go right into my Scizor. And the Scizor is going to definitely put in some work, just because it can kind of live anything. And the Raticate was going for a Sucker Punch too, so that was the right call, I think, in my mind. And I'm just going to Mega Evolve here, because this is a Mega Scizor, and naturally on Steel teams you want to be running Mega Scizor, just because that way you have a resistance to fighting. So I go for a Swords Dance here on her Sucker Punch again, which, you know, is actually kind of a good thing in the end for me, just because now I'm at +2 and the Scizor is going to be a thing. So it goes to the Sucker Punch, actually lands it now, does more than I thought it would, but whatever. Bullet Punch is going to definitely put in a number on this Alola Raticate, and it is going to get the knockout. So that's pretty cool. And out comes the Alola Muck. And I was actually, like, kind of thinking, okay, how do I deal with this? Because this thing, Alolan Muck, is actually pretty good, all things considered. I just go for the Bullet Punch here, hoping to get as much damage off as possible, and it doesn't quite knock it out. And this Alolan Muck is actually going to recover a lot with its Iapapa Berry, or Figgy Berry, excuse me. And the Shadow Sneak is going to come out onto the Muck, onto my Scizor, and do, you know, a decent amount, but not enough. So I'm thinking, okay, I could probably go for another move and safely knock it out if I needed to, but of course it gets the crit, but I just go right for the Roost actually, which is a pretty good thing for me. I'm basically just making sure that the Scizor can live any attack that this Muck wants to come out with before getting crit. And the Shadow Sneak is, I assume, the only move that Scizor can actually do to me, so it's whatever. So I just go for another Swords Dance here, because I'm kind of trying to, let her have a chance at beating me, which is a little condescending, I understand, but whatever. I'm just gonna go right for the bullet punch here, and it's gonna knock out this Muck, because so is life. Rest in peace, Muck. In comes the Toxapex. Now this is actually like a janky mon. I really don't like Toxapex. If this were a Pokemon Showdown video, I would be talking mad smack. Mad smack, I say mad smack. Whatever. I'd be talking crap about this Toxapex. I go for a Bullet Punch, and this Toxapex is gonna go right for the Scald. And you know, because Toxapex is freaking BS all the time, it's just gonna go for Scald here and like not give a crap about what I do with my Scizor. And at this point, I'm like, all right, well, screw this, I'm out of here. So I go for the U-turn, and it does a good amount to Toxapex, but Toxapex is Toxapex. And like literally all it has to do is click recover to do well. But I send in my Excadrill just so I can maybe click a ground move. And you know, I'm really just trying to get damage off. But of course it goes for the Scald again. Not expecting U-turn, which I guess is understandable. But you know, I'm lucky that I didn't get Scald Burn there, because otherwise that would have been very difficult for me. But I just go right for Earthquake here, and luckily for me, that is going to do enough to knock out this Toxapex, this pain-in-the-ass Pokemon. Yeah, so apologies for the swearing there, but like, you know, Toxapex is so good, but it's so busted. Anyway, in comes Pyukumuku, really cool mon. I'm just gonna go for an Earthquake here just because I think I'm banded. It's either banded or Scarf, but I think it's banned. Anyway, so I go for a Earthquake here, and this Pyukumuku is just going to go right for, it gets its Citrus Berry recovery, and it goes for Soak, which is actually kind of a cool strategy, because now I don't have Stab on Earthquake, and it is going to make it so I do less damage. But at this point, I'm like, alright, I'm just going to switch out, go into something like Ferrothorn, deal with this thing nicely, because Pyukumuku really can't do anything to Ferrothorn at all. Like, I mean, you see it goes for Toxic, and like, what is it going to do? Nothing. Exactly. So, at this point, I'm thinking, alright, I can go for a Power Whip, I can go for Leech Seed, I just go for a Power Whip, but of course it misses, and Pyukumuku is going to go for a Pain Split, and it's going to, you know, make me lose a little bit of health, but not a ton, which is alright. In the end, it's like, whatever, you know? I feel like I'm, just sort of existing. So, I go for the Leech Seed here, and, yeah. Then Pyukumuku goes to the Pain Split again. This time it actually does like only 5-6 damage to me, so I'm like, whatever. And I'm just gonna get that health nice from that Leech Seed, and we're just sort of playing a bit of a stally game. You know, it is what it is. I'm not terribly torn up about playing stall. It's the last fight. It's whatever. So I'm gonna go for a Power Whip now, and Power Whip is actually going to connect. And it's not going to knock out the Pyukumuku, which is probably the best I could hope for, because now I don't have to worry about innards out damage either. It goes to the Soak here, which is, you know, fine by me, because I really am not using Ferrothorn to attack much, and Ferrothorn being the water type doesn't really impact me, so it's whatever. So I just go for another Power Whip, really to knock out this Pyukumuku once for all, especially at so low of health. I don't care about innards out damage at all, which is really, really good. So, Pyukumuku goes down with the hand out, giving it a high five. And, yeah. Ferrothorn's at full health. The only thing that's different is that it's got a water type. And out comes the Salazzle. I don't think... I probably could have stayed in here, actually, if I wanted to. Or do I? No, I stay in, yeah. Because it goes for Venoshock here. I was expecting it to go for anything else, but whatever. I just am setting up spikes at this point just to, like, set up some... entry hazards and do some damage to anything else that wants to switch in. And since Ferrothorn's water type, I don't fear the Salazzle nearly as much. But the Salazzle here is going to go for that the poison. No, what is this? I don't even remember. Yeah, it should be the poison one, right? Acid Downpour? Yeah, Acid Downpour. I didn't recognize the Z move, you know, because you don't really see Plumeria do it in game much at all, and it's whatever. But Acid Downpour does in fact infect me because I am a water type, but it isn't going to knock me out, which is very nice. And I just go for a Power Whip here, just to like, whatever, you know. At this point, I have no reason to switch out from Ferrothorn, since I do kind of tank it, basically, and this Salazzle is very threatening to me, because my team is Steel. So it's just going to go for another Venoshock, and at this point I'm just sort of, I'm okay with taking the hits and setting up entry hazards, because I'm just trying to sack this Ferrothorn one way or another. Obviously, though, that's kind of difficult to do when I'm also trying to win, but, yeah, no, it's whatever, you feel me, So Venoshock is going to come out again, And at this point, I'm thinking, alright, ooh, that was a crit, that was bad. So I just go for a third layer of spikes, so now basically anything that switches in is going to take stealth rock damage and spike damage. And I know I'm going to go down next turn from this Salazzle, so I'm perfectly fine with letting my Ferrothorn die to a Salazzle. I mean, Salazzle's a fun Pokemon. I wish I used it more. But anyway, down goes my Ferrothorn, and in comes my Heatran, which can basically wall this thing outside of it going for Toxic. So it goes for Poison Gas, actually, though, which makes me think that this is more of like an in-game mon, but like I don't really care because it's Pokemon, and who cares? It's the last fight of the night. Anyway, so I just go for an Earth Power, and down goes the Salazzle just like that. So the last Pokemon coming out is, in fact, after I get this poison damage, is in fact the Garbodor from the start of the fight, but now it's going to take a bunch of damage from the Stealth Rock and the Spikes, and after I click Earth Power, this fight is basically over. So yeah, that's basically it. Good game, Hannah. Really good fun fight. Really cool fighting everyone at the PPL. And with that, that concludes the fights from PAX Pokemon League. It was really fun this year, and I had a ton of fun fighting all my friends who are in there, and bet that I won't be a gym leader next year. Who knows? Anyway, if you like these videos, let me know, and thanks for watching. Have a nice day.